जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय राधा माधव श्री राधे जय राधा दामोदर श्री राधे जय पंचतत्वा जय पंचतत्वा जय प्रहलाद सिंह जय प्रहलाद सिंह जय प्रहलाद सिंह जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद Srila Prabhupada ki Gaur Premanande. Readings from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, chapter 1, and we are going to see verse 1 and 2. So, congratulations, because we are starting a new canto, and we have finished 2 cantos. Hari Hari Bol! It calls for big celebration, that we have crossed 2 cantos and we have come to 3rd canto. Yes, big milestone. Okay. So before we get into the verse, we'll chant the most auspicious invocation prayers. I'll chant. Please try to repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nigamakalpatarorgalitam phalam Sukamukātamrita dravasamyutam Pibata Bhagavatam rasamalayam Mudhuragho rasika bhuvibhavakaha Narayanam namaskritya Naran chaiva narottamam Devim saraswatim vyasam Tato jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu Nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavatyuttama shloke Bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. So the second verse is on the board. The first verse is not there. I'll read the first verse myself. Śrī Śukadeva Gosvāmī. Is that the board? No. So you want to repeat? It's okay. Evam etat purā pṛṣṭo maitreyo bhagavān kila kṣattrā praviṣṭena tyaktvā sva-gṛham ṛddhimat. Śukadeva Gosvāmī said, after renouncing his prosperous home and entering forest, King Vidura, the great devotee, asked this question of His Grace Maitreya Ṛṣi. Now, this verse is there in the board. Yadva ayam mantra-kṛd Yadva ayam mantra-kṛd bhagavān akhila-īśvaraḥ Bhagavān akhila-īśvaraḥ pauravendra-gṛhaṁ pauravendra-gṛhaṁ praviṣṭaḥ Yadva ayam mantra-kṛd Bhagavān akhila-īśvaraḥ pauravendra-gṛhaṁ praviṣṭaḥ. Okay, somebody can chant. Tadvāyam mantra-kṛd vānakhila-īśvaraḥ pauravendra-gṛhaṁ praviṣṭaḥ. Tyaktvāyam mantra-kṛd bhagavān akhila-īśvaraḥ pauravendra-gṛhaṁ praviṣṭaḥ. Yadvāyam mantra-kṛd bhagavān akhila-īśvaraḥ pauravendra-gṛhaṁ praviṣṭaḥ. Tyaktvāyam mantra-kṛd bhagavān akhila-īśvaraḥ pauravendra-gṛhaṁ praviṣṭaḥ. Tyaktvāyam mantra-kṛd bhagavān akhila-īśvaraḥ pauravendra-gṛhaṁ praviṣṭaḥ. yadvāyam mantra-kṛdvo bhagavān akhila-īśvaraḥ pauravendra-gṛhaṁ hitvā praviṣṭaḥ yadvāyam mantra-kṛdvo bhagavān akhila-īśvaraḥ pauravendra-gṛhaṁ hitvā praviṣṭaḥ yat, the house. Why? What else is there to say? I am Śrī Kṛṣṇa, mantra-kṛd, minister. Vaha, you people. Bhagavān, the personality of Godhead. Akhila-īśvaraḥ, the Lord of everything. Pauravendra, Duryodhana. Griham, house. Hitvā, giving up. Praviṣṭena, entered. Atmasat, identify with oneself. Kritam, so accepted. Translation, please repeat. What else is there to say about the residential house of Pandavas? Śrī Kṛṣṇa, the Lord of everything, acted as your minister. He used to enter that house as if it were his own, and he did not take any care of Duryodhana's house. Purport. According to Gaudiya Achintya Beda Abeda Tattva philosophy, anything which satisfies the senses of the Supreme Lord, Śrī Kṛṣṇa, is also Śrī Kṛṣṇa. For example, Śrī Vrindavana Dham is not different from Śrī Kṛṣṇa, Tad Dhama Vrindavanam. Because at Vrindavana, the Lord enjoys transcendental bliss of his internal potency. Similarly, the house of Pandavas was also the source of transcendental bliss for the Lord. It is mentioned here that the Lord identified the house with his own self. The house of Pandavas was as good as Vrindavana, and Vidura should not have given up that place of transcendental bliss. Therefore, the reason for his quitting the house was not exactly family misunderstanding. Rather, Vidura took the opportunity to meet Rishi Maitreya and discuss transcendental knowledge. For a saintly person like Vidura, any disturbance due to worldly affairs is insignificant. Such disturbance, however, are sometimes favorable for higher realization, and therefore Vidura took advantage of a family misunderstanding in order to meet Maitreya Ṛṣi. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadadi Sapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Sri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sakhagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sakhagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dīnabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunavadi Paschaityadeshatarine Jaya Śrī Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Śrī Advaita Gadadhara Śrīvāsadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vācālam Pangalangāyate Grimit Kapātamaham Vande Śrī Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Śrī Chaitanya Mishram Kathanchana Smrite Yasmin Dushkaram Sukaram Bhave Prismrite Paritam Syat Śrī Chaitanyam Namamitam Namavam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pṛṣṭāya Bhutale Śrīmate Jayapataka Swamini Namine Namacharya Padaya Nitai Kripa Pradayine Gaura Katadamadaya Nagara Gramatarine Hare Krishna. So first of all, I feel very grateful and fortunate to be back here in Sridham Mayapur because I was out of Mayapur for almost more than 2 months, and this has been my longest separation from Mayapur since I came here 11 years before. Of course, I went for my service to get some support for the Mayapur hospital project. But to come back and be here, it feels so nice to be among devotees, to be in Mayapur, to be with Radha Madhav, to be with Mother Ganga and the Association of Devotees. One feels very fortunate that one is able to actually experience this. So naturally I feel very grateful that I was allowed to come back to Sridham, Mayapur, especially during the Kartik time. So we are opening a new canto. This canto is third canto. This canto is titled, in case you don't know, it's titled The Status Quo. So the titling of Bhagavatam, the BBT series is a little interesting. Of course, different acharyas have titled different cantos slightly differently. It's not a defect. It's just, it enhances the glory of Bhagavatam, because Bhagavatam and Krishna, they are like Vidura stone. So Vidura stone, when you see from different angles, for different people, it shines differently. So someone says, oh, it's shining green, someone says, oh, it's shining maroon, someone says, shining yellow. But it's only the glory of the Vidura stone, it's not like a difference of opinion. So, but since anyway the BBT Bhagavatam is titled in a certain way, so, and since we are opening the topic, so it's always good to examine the whole canto with reference to the title. BBT Bhagavatam is titled in the way that the 10 topics of Srimad Bhagavatam, Atra Sarga Visargascha, Sthanam Poshanam Utayaha, Manvantare Ishanakata, Nirodha Muktirashrayaha. So all the 10 cantos are titled in the same fashion. So first canto is called Creation, which is Sarga. Second canto is called Cosmic Manifestation, which is Visarga. And the third canto is called Sthanam, which is the status quo. Sometimes we think that fifth canto is Sthanam. There's nothing wrong in that. Nobody is going to dispute that, because Jiva Goswami says that all 10 topics are there in all the cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam. So it's not a big hair-splitting thing that, why should call it this. No need to split your hair with that. But at least it's good to know, to see the whole canto with reference to the title. And the third canto title is Status Quo, which is Sthanam. And if you actually see Śukadeva Gosvāmi's definition of Sthanam in the second canto, where he gives some cryptic definitions to each topic. He doesn't give an entire definition, but he gives cryptic definitions to each topic. So in that, he says, Sthiti Vaikunta Vijayaha. Sthiti Vaikunta Vijayaha. This is what he says about Sthanam. This is the definition he gives of Sthanam, which means that the position of the Lord is that he is always victorious. This is the translation of that. So the Lord is always victorious. So the third canto is very interesting because it declares the victory of the Lord, the status quo. What is the status quo? The status quo is that the Lord is always victorious. That is the status quo. So it declares the victory of the Lord. Param vijayate Śrī Kṛṣṇa sankirtanam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So the same thing that, the holy name is always victorious, the Lord is always victorious. And the third canto goes into depth in discussing how the Lord is always victorious. And if you see the different topics of third canto, so they are all connected to this one topic, or they can be seen from this perspective of how the Lord is always victorious and how he remains the ruler of the spiritual and the material world, and how he remains victorious in the spiritual world and the material world. So the first chapter itself deals with the nature of material world. The nature of material world is that always there is disturbance in the material world. In material world, you can never be peaceful. You can never be peaceful. Always there is disturbance in the material world. Some disturbance or other is there, and especially Kali Yuga is expert in disturbing everybody. Upadritaha, manda bhagyena hi upadritaha. Upadritaha means completely disturbed. And kalau asminige janaha. Kalau means that they are always fighting with each other. For small things we can fight. We can fight for, why are you not standing in the line? Why are you standing in the line? Why did you take Charanamrita before me? So many things we can fight with. There are so many hundreds of topics to fight with each other. So kalau asminige janaha. So the very nature of Kali is to divide and to disturb. But the first chapter itself shows how a devotee handles disturbance. You see Vidura, and then he gets into some serious disturbance in his life. How does he handle disturbance? Prabhupada actually says in the purport, for a devotee, the disturbance of the world is insignificant. For some people, just a small disturbance in their life could be very, very significant. They can get so disturbed with I was in Canada, and for 1 month I stayed in Canada. And I saw many people are depressed in Canada. Of course, I was dealing with only devotees. I was not dealing with non-devotees. Even within devotees, very easily you see that people are depressed. You find that somebody has depression, somebody is into depression, this person is depression, that person is depression, things like that. Why? Because people can get disturbed with what's happening around them. So therefore, the first chapter itself shows that how does a devotee handle disturbance. He is not worried. Okay, Krishna has given me this disturbance because I have to do something with this disturbance. So therefore, he simply uses that disturbance to progress in Krishna consciousness. That disturbance, which is actually a disturbance, becomes good for him. So therefore, the Lord remains victorious even in disturbing the devotee. Like we can see in Damodar Leela, Yashoda is doing her churning of the curd, chang, 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 chang. She is churning and then she is singing some song. And the Lord comes, what he does? First he stops her. Stop disturbing. Don't chant. I am here. Why don't you feed me? And Yashoda, she puts him on the lap and starts feeding. And then the second disturbance comes. What is that? There is a fire, and there is a milk in the fire, and then she has to put Krishna down, and she has to run, and she has to attend the fire. And then Krishna creates the third disturbance. What is that? He says, hey, I was drinking milk, you are running for the other milk. What is this nonsense? So I have to show you what it means to put Krishna down. So he takes one stone, dum, he breaks the pot. All the work she did from the morning. From morning she did some work. All that work is lost. That's it, finished. Gone. In Hindi they say, mitti mein mil gaya. Means gone to the earth, finished. And then Krishna is thinking, oh, what I did. Now I am in trouble. This is not a good place to stay. Let me escape. Go feed the monkeys. Better let me be with the monkeys. So he is feeding the monkeys. Krishna is feeding the monkeys. Yashoda came. She saw, oh, what is this? Big mess. And she is not thinking, my work is wasted. You please understand how Yashoda thinks. Yashoda doesn't think my work is wasted. Mera project purā chaupat ho gaya. My project is gone. People are disturbing me. I was doing my service. There's so much of disturbance in my service. She is not thinking all that. She is simply thinking, oh, Krishna has become so mischievous. I should do something to correct Krishna. She is not worried about what work is wasted for her. She is simply thinking of Krishna. So she is thinking maybe one stick is good at this time. So she takes a small stick and then goes. And she is slowly going and seeing what Krishna is doing. And Krishna is distributing butter to the monkeys. And then monkeys are also eating. They are eating. So then Krishna is giving butter and monkeys are eating. Suddenly monkeys are retreating. They are running away. They are running away. Krishna is thinking, hey, what happened to you? Come. They, no. Eat, you eat. They go. Why? They are seeing Yashoda with the stick behind. So Krishna thought, why these monkeys are going away? There may be something wrong. He just turned and saw Yashoda standing in the stake. Run, man, run. He starts running. So the point is that, of course, whole Dhamma I can keep speaking, but the point is that disturbance in Krishna's service is natural. Is natural. Because the nature of material world is to disturb. So we should not get worried by disturbance which comes in our service. Right? We should simply try to bind Krishna with the disturbance. That's what Yashoda did. Yashoda got disturbed in her service. She used the disturbance to simply bind Krishna. So she bound him. And she became great by simply binding Krishna. She did not think, what is this? From morning I am chanting this fellow, so nice, then gone. What can I do? What will I do now? I try to save that milk. This is now gone. What is this? I can't do my service. It's so much of disturbance. No. You see Vidura, he does the same thing. He is disturbed. He does something wonderful with the disturbance. And that is the Lord's victory, because the Lord shows through the devotee how to handle the disturbance in this material world. And the Lord shows through the devotee. And then you come from chapter 2 to chapter 4. And chapter 2 to chapter 4 is like 10th canto. Because two great devotees of the Lord, one is Vidura, other one is Uddhava. Both of them cannot simply but talk about Krishna. This is the nature of devotees in the material world. Macchitta madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam katayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. This is the very nature of devotees in the material world. They care a fig for this material world. They care a fig. They don't think this material world is some significant thing. They care a fig for it. They simply engaged in the Lord's service. Because they are engaged in Lord's service, therefore, for them this material world is insignificant. Samashata yatpada pallava plavam mahatpadam punya yasho murare bhavambudair vatsapadam param padam yat vipadam na tesham. What is this material world? What it is worth? This material world is not worth anything. The only thing worthy in this material world is that we can sit in a sangha and discuss Krishna Katha. That is what is worth in this material world. Rest of everything is not worth it. Because in this material world, after all, every step there is danger. After all, every step there is danger. So therefore, what we can try to enjoy in this material world, there was a big fair in Canada. That was supposed to be the biggest annual fair in Toronto. And they were having big celebration there. Everybody is going to enjoy there. And then there was one roller coaster. It got stuck for half an hour. And people in the roller coaster are hanging for half an hour. What is this material world? What is the nature of this material world? You see that padam yat vipadam, but devotees natesham, they don't care about it. Why? Because they are simply engaged. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido. Bhavanti hitkanda sayana katha tajjoshanat asav apavargavartmani shraddha ratir bhaktir anukramishyati. Simply because they are engaged in Krishna Katha, they are very victorious. That is the status of the devotees, the status quo of the devotees. What is that? Their position is that they are never bereft of Krishna's association. Because whatever they see in this material world, it simply reminds them of Krishna. Therefore, Krishna is always victorious. He is always victorious. And then in this material world, chapter 5 onwards, all the way up to chapter 12, it deals with the material world, the creation of this material world. What is the nature of this material world? The nature of this material world is that this material world is created and it is destroyed. Bhutagramasa evayam bhutva priliyate ratri agame avasapartha prabhavanti agaragame. Krishna explains that how the world is created and it is destroyed. It is created and it is destroyed. And in this material world, so many great people appear. And then they do so many things. Like for example, there is this appearance of Kumaras and others. You find the 33 crore demigods, that, this, dam, doom, blah, blah. So many people appear. Different type of animals who are so powerful. Different manifestations of nature which are so powerful. Everything is very powerful. And people become very proud. I am so great. I am this, I am that. And Krishna breaks everything simply by destroying this material world. As time factor, Krishna is so powerful. He is so powerful. Kalovasmi. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna sees this ghastly universal form, where the whole Kurukshetra war, everything is happening, and the whole army is just going inside the mouth of Krishna, and some of them are getting stuck inside the teeth, and they are getting torn, and they are chariots, everything is going, and Krishna is consuming everything. Krishna is consuming everything. And then Arjuna sees that form, and then he becomes so afraid. He says, who are you? What is your mission? What are you trying to do? Then Krishna says, time, I have come to destroy everyone. Krishna breaks the pride of the conditioned soul by creation and destruction. The material world is created and destroyed, created and destroyed, created and destroyed. And Krishna shows who is the boss. Don't think that anybody is the boss. I am the boss. I create, I destroy. Nobody else can do anything. You have to be helplessly created, you have to be helplessly destroyed. This Krishna, by the act of creation and destruction, Krishna shows that in this material world, he is victorious. Nobody else is victorious. Nations can fight with nations, and they can vie for supremacy. Somebody can say, I can destroy this nation, I will be the great. And somebody else may say, no, I am the economic power, I will be the great, I will do everything. According to me, the world has to run. No, the world runs according to Krishna. And world gets destroyed according to Krishna. Very nicely Shankaracharya is singing, Ma kurudana jana yauvana garvam harati nimesha kala sarvam. So simply don't become proud of what you have. Ma kurudana jana yauvana garvam. Don't become proud of what you have. Harati nimesha kala sarvam. In 1 second, time can destroy everything. Krishna shows in this material world to all the great materialists who is the boss. Who is the boss? And this way, Krishna remains victorious in this material world by destroying the pride of the conditioned soul. And then, on chapter 14, you actually get to see the power of sex life. How sex life can bind even the most intelligent person. Like Kashyapa, he is Prajapati, he is most intelligent, he is learned in the Vedas, he is so great, but he falls victim to the sex life. How Krishna binds all the great people of this material world, simply he binds through the knot of sex life. Very nicely it's explained by Rishabhadev in 5th canto, Pumsastriya maitini bhavametam tayor mito hriday granti mahuhu ata grihakshetra ktudapta vittair janasya mohoyam aham mameti. Janasya mohoyam. Simply people are bewildered by the sex life. That Diti, she comes in the evening time unnecessarily, and then she is telling, come let's have sex, come let's have sex. And then this person, greatly learned person, he knows everything, but still he succumbs to sex desire. So Krishna binds the greatest of the great simply by sex desire. And Krishna shows that how he is victorious. By actually creating such a powerful sense of enjoyment in the conditioned soul. And then on chapter 15 onwards, you get to see a wonderful pastime, the pastime of Vaikuntha. So from 15 onwards, you start to see Vaikuntha. So we have seen the material world, we see the spiritual world. And in spiritual world, we see how the Lord always remains victorious. Because the great Jnanis, they can reach up to the door of Vaikuntha, but they cannot enter Vaikuntha. The 4 Kumaras go there, they go up to the door of Vaikuntha. Prabhupada says they were sent back at the door. And then those Jnanis, in order to have proper realization of their knowledge, they have to become devotees. And they become devotees not by seeing Krishna, simply by smelling Krishna's tulsi leaf, which actually comes, the smell of Krishna's tulsi leaf, which actually comes in the air. Tasyara vinda nayanasya padara vinda kinjal kamishra tulasi makaranda vayu antar gata swavirena chakaratesham sankshobam aksharajusham apichittatanvo. Very beautiful shloka. Very, very beautiful. It explains how the Kumaras, they had this akshara. Akshara means they had this impersonal realization. And that impersonal realization was saturating their body and their consciousness simply by the aroma of the tulsi leaf from the Lord's lotus feet. That is sufficient to drive away that impersonalism from them. The Lord remains victorious in Vaikuntha. By actually teaching the Jnanis that unless you become devotee, your realization is not complete. That's what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti samahatmasu durlabaha. And then we jump back into the material world. Because we have dealt with Jnanis, now we have to deal with yogis and karmis and vikarmis. And the complete personification of the power of all the yogis, karmis, vikarmis, that is Hiranyaksha. And Hiranyaksha is such a great personality. He is so powerful, so powerful, so powerful that nobody can challenge him. He is simply roaming around in the ocean seeing who can challenge me. And the Lord comes and he plays with him for some time as if he is fighting. And then finally, how does the Lord kill Hiranyaksha? Simply by a touch on his chin. Dead, finished. The greatest yogic power, the person who had the greatest yogic power was so powerful, nobody could challenge him. That person was killed by a mere touch of the Lord's lotus feet. Then he got killed. So what to speak of other people who claim that, I am powerful, I am this, I am that, like that. So therefore, no power in this world, not the power of money, not the power of yoga, not the power of karma, no power in this world is greater than the Lord. The Lord is always victorious. The Lord is always victorious. And then we get to hear about the glorious household affairs of Kardama and Devahuti. And Kardama and Devahuti, very interestingly, they actually engage in sex life. Previously we saw that the Lord uses the sex desire to bind the greatest of the great. And the same sex desire, when it is applied in the Lord's service, becomes the means for liberation from this material world. So, bhakti is more powerful than sex desire. Because the same sex desire, which actually is the binding force in the material world, the same thing can become the liberating force if it is applied in the devotional service. So therefore, the Lord always remains victorious. So this way, then we get into Kapila Siksha. And very interestingly, Kapila Siksha is spoken to whom? It is spoken to one person, which is Kapila Dev's mother, Devahuti. Is Kapila Dev's mother, Devahuti. Normally in Vedic system, women and Dvijabandhus and Vaishyas and Shudras, they are considered as not fit for receiving higher knowledge. Normally in Vedic system. Vedic system is like that. The higher varnas, which is like Brahmana and Kshatriya, they are actually considered as fit for receiving higher knowledge. But that higher knowledge is not devotional service. It's simply higher knowledge. But the Lord shows, by speaking to his mother, the greatest of philosophy, the Lord actually shows that Anybody can take up devotional service and actually can get liberated. So the Lord remains victorious in this material world. His devotee remains victorious in this material world, irrespective of what the position the devotee has. Nobody is excluded from devotional service. Anyone who takes up devotional service is great, is exalted, and has all the qualification. Devahuti herself says, Aho bato swapacho gariyanya jivvagre vartate namatubhyam te pustapaste jukhu shashnurarya brahmanuchur namagrunanti ete. Very beautiful shloka where she explains that simply by chanting the holy name once, even if he is born in the lowest of the lowest, even in the lowest of the lowest, he should be considered as the highest. Because he has completed everything in his previous lifetimes. That gave him the opportunity to chant the holy name. So therefore, the whole of third canto can be looked into this perspective of how the Lord always remains victorious. The status quo is that the Lord always remains victorious. And the status quo of this material world is that it always has to be destroyed. The status quo of the spiritual world is that the Lord always rules the spiritual world. The status quo of the devotees is that they are never bereft of the Lord's association. The status quo of the non-devotees, the karmis and jnanis, is that unless they become devotees, they cannot have anything substantial in this material world. And the status quo of sex life is that it binds the greatest of the greatest, and the status quo of devotional service is that it can actually become the liberating force even when it is applied within the sex life. So therefore, you can see the whole third canto from that perspective. And here, in this verse, there are two reasons which are given why Vidura should not leave his home. First reason which was given was that it was ṛddhimat. Ṛddhimat means it was having all the opulences. The second reason it was given was the Lord himself entered his house. So therefore, the house is considered to be non-different from Vrindavan. Why would he leave his house? Why would he leave his house? So the answer is given by Prabhupada that sometimes great souls simply utilize the so-called disturbance of this material world so that they can do something greater good for the whole humanity. Vidura left his house, and then we got third, fourth canto Bhagavatam. Because third canto and fourth canto Bhagavatam is simply conversation between Vidura and Maitreya. And in the third canto and fourth canto Bhagavatam, we get association of many great personalities. Many great personalities, many great kings, many great personalities, Prajapatis, Brahma, so many different people we get association. And that is the effect of a devotee's action. That he actually shows how to utilize this creation, how to utilize every aspect of this creation. This creation is not a waste like a Jnanis think. The Jnanis think that, oh, what is this creation? They say, Jagat Mithya. Jagat Mithya means it's false. But devotees know, they are very intelligent. They know how to utilize every aspect of creation. They know how to make the best out of every aspect of creation. Whether it is disturbance or whether it is good activity, whether it is bad activity, devotees know that it can be utilized in Krishna's service. And that's what we will learn from Vidura in this chapter, how the Lord acted in two ways. So there are two characters in this chapter, two prime characters, and both the characters have been introduced in the first two shlokas. The first character, prime character, is Vidura himself, and the second prime character in this chapter is Duryodhana. So he has also been introduced. And he has been introduced in such a way that we clearly understand his position. The Lord did not care for him. The Lord did not care for him. He did not care for his house. He did not care for him. So these two characters with their respective background have been introduced to us in these two shlokas. And these two shlokas now is going to continue. And we are going to see some very interesting interaction between these two characters, which is Vidura and Duryodhana. And how the Lord acted with both of them. We are going to see. And with that, we can actually see how the Lord always remains victorious in controlling the non-devotees and in glorifying the devotees. In the end, Vidura comes as a great winner and Duryodhana stands as the greatest loser. By the end of this chapter, it becomes very clear that how, even though externally it was looking different, but actually for an intelligent person, one can very clearly see that Vidura actually emerged as a great winner and Duryodhana become the greatest of losers. So therefore, we are going to start a very, very interesting journey, wonderful journey of third canto, and it's a very interesting canto because in third canto, you can find your lost love. All of us have lost our love. And who is that lost love? That lost love is Krishna. You can find him in third canto. Because he is victorious. His victory is declared all over the third canto. So whenever a person becomes victorious, then it's very easily to identify him. Hey, he is the person who is victorious. Somebody runs the race and someone comes first. They put him on the pedestal, they give him a cup and then he waves his hand, hey, like that. And then everybody is saying, hey. Like that, third canto is going to put Krishna on the pedestal. And he is going to show to all of us that see, here is Krishna. Look at him. He is always victorious. He is the person who has won. Go and join him. This is what third canto is going to do. So when we follow third canto very closely, we can actually once again fall in love with Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay? Some comments, questions? Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Really nice. In the tumultuous mid to late 80s, there were many devotees who left the movement. And Vyasaki Prabhu decided to do something about it. He wanted to see devotees reconnect their hearts with Srila Prabhupada. So I think it was about a 3-year period, with that motivation, he traveled. What do we do?
You just speak, I will repeat.
Hare Krishna. Okay, I think they got it solved. So he went around the world and he met with over 500 devotees that had stopped practicing and disassociated themselves from ISKCON. And he found something, many of them, as a result of his efforts, came back in, but he found a common denominator in every single one of them. In other words, they had a similar mindset. Somehow or other, and they couldn't process. So maybe I just...
You should just turn, probably it will work better.
I'll get over here.
No, you just turn, it will work better.
That's all right. So then they couldn't apply the philosophy contained in Tate Nukampam Shukshamikṣamano, which is kind of the Mahavakyam for processing distress in a Krishna conscious way. So it's a very significant point, the points that you're making. And, devotees have got to understand, as Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, the path of a Vaishnava is filled with many thorns. But those thorns are sent to us by Krishna. Maybe I'll walk out the door and then it will stop. Okay, so these thorns are placed in the pathway by Krishna to actually help us and help us come closer to Him and increase our service to Krishna's movement, Prabhupada's movement. How'd I do?
Haribol! Yeah, it's a very important point which Prabhuji made. that many times I have also seen that devotees struggle to apply Krishna conscious philosophy in their life. That's a very, very significant point Prabhuji brought about. I used to joke that sometimes, just take your hand off. It's not on. So sometimes I used to joke that it's okay, don't worry. All disturbances are meant for good. Even this. Because Krishna is in control, so we have to accept it. So sometimes I used to joke that, in ISKCON, sometimes devotees think that life is meant for living and philosophy is meant for preaching. Means that they live their life in their own way, but they are very good in preaching philosophy. So we have to just reverse it. What is that? Philosophy is meant for living and life is meant for preaching. Then everything becomes all right. Mataji wanted to say something. Just give the mic to her.
Yes, Hare Krishna. That's a very nice class, thank you. So it's a lot similar to what Prabhu was touching on. So even in the Bhagavatam, it's telling us that, the sex life can bind, right? It can just... So, okay. So knowing this, and like he said, so many left, and even if they stayed, at some point, it seemed like that is what brought them down. So where is the structure or the shelter, that can be offered? Like you said, this Prabhu went out and knew that they were leaving, and he wanted to bring them back.
Correct, yeah.
But it seems like we still have that our go-to is to push them away. No, you have to leave. So nothing has really shifted in 45 years, 50 years of dealing with this situation of fall down.
As far as I know, I'm not like so much experienced, maybe you both are experienced more, but as far as I know, I think a lot has changed in terms of how do we process quote unquote fall down. I think the much better understanding of Prabhupada's purport in the 8th canto is there. Like Prabhupada is a very extraordinary person.
Yes.
He's an extraordinary person. Now coming from a little bit of Vedic background, he did unprecedented things. Like, those who come from Vedic background, we may have a slightly better appreciation of Prabhupada because it takes a lot of guts to write in the purport that it is okay to fall down. You please continue to fight Maya from the position of strength. No Acharya has done this. No Acharya has done this. Bhagavatam itself deals with fall down in a very heavy manner. I don't want to, get into that. But Prabhupada dealt with it in a very humane way. He said that it's okay if you cannot maintain a certain ashram. You come to an ashram where you can actually stay and fight Maya. And that's a big concession coming from the Acharya, because Krishna accepts that as bona fide. Just because Prabhupada says, Krishna has to accept it as bona fide, because Krishna sent Prabhupada that go preach in this material world. And then Bhagavatam itself says that whatever the Acharya says, that is accepted by the Lord. So therefore, Prabhupada did something extraordinary in dealing with the situation of the devotees getting into trouble. And with whatever knowledge, little bit I have in dealing with management and things like that, I can say with some amount of confidence that yes, things have changed, that there is a much better understanding of how do we process things, how do we look at devotees who actually fall down. And there are now good examples of devotees who have dealt with what setbacks come in their own life in a very gracious manner. I don't want to take names here, but they have dealt with it in a very gracious manner, and then we can see that because they dealt with it in a very gracious and very open manner, their respect has gradually increased. It has not been lost. But there are others who also did not deal with it in a very nice manner. So therefore, they have to be dealt with in a certain manner because we are still in an institution and we need to protect people. But even then, there's a much better understanding of what happens to a wounded soldier. Prabhupada said that the fight against Maya is not so easy. So therefore, it's going to be difficult. And whatever little bit I have studied of the history of ISKCON in terms of these things, I feel, or I have seen, I have experienced that we may not be there as the most ideal society or most ideal place where this perfect shelter is available, but we are in a much better position to process what we have. Of course, I'm not saying that there cannot be improvement. There can be a lot of improvement in devotee care. There can be a lot of improvement in how we should become selfless in our service. Damodar Lila itself is a very good example. Like one of the best persons exhibiting devotee care is Yashoda herself. Like, she gave up the pleasure of feeding the Supreme Lord so that the service of the milk can be saved. What greater devotee care can be there, exhibition of devotee care can be there than this act of sacrifice by Yashoda? If you come to think of it, this is not something ordinary, what Yashoda did. But she was equally worried about the milk's service to Krishna as much she was worried about her own service to Krishna. In fact, she was able to disturb her service to Krishna to save the milk's service to Krishna. So there is a lot of work to be done in trying to understand devotee care, in trying to implement devotee care, trying to make devotee care a very robust part as part of ISKCON. Of course, there's a lot of work needs to be done, but it may also not be very fair to say that 45 years nothing has changed. Things have changed. We are able to talk about it. We are able to discuss it. That's the beginning, that anything happens with the discussion. That when you are able to discuss it, when you are able to talk about it, when we are able to do something about it, we have hope. I would not say we are perfect, but we have hope. That's what I would say.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll stop here. Hare Krishna. It's already 9 o'clock. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Premanande. Thank you very much.